So it is Suicide Awareness and Prevention Week. I have been following the media's coverage of this and social media posts, and one phrase continues to pop out above all others. And that is something that I think we probably all heard, which is suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. This was a phrase that was told to me over and over again when I was 14, after my suicide letter had been found by my parents and I'd been carted off to the psychiatrist. And in the early years that followed that, where I was really struggling with a lot of stuff. I know people were coming at it from the angle of like, hey, it's going to get better. It is temporary, and you don't want to do something that is permanent that kind of takes your options away. On a cognitive level, I got that even at that young age. I knew obviously suicide is permanent. There is no coming back from that. And I also got where they were coming from of like, your problem is temporary. Things will change. They will improve. But at that time, my problem seemed anything but temporary. There was such this weight of them and this insurmountable energy that kind of catapulted my whole looking at suicide in the first place. If someone has the knowledge base that their problem is temporary, then they wouldn't be looking at suicide. Suicide is usually something that is a last resort for a lot of people when they're in so much anguish, so much mental turmoil that they see no other possibility. What I noticed throughout this media coverage with that phrase, and what I got when people had said it to me over and over again, more and more pissed off because I was feeling so invalidated and so wrong, because if my problems were temporary, how come I couldn't fix them? Something must really be wrong with me if there was just a temporary problem that I should just be able to solve. What I have noticed with myself, my own journey, and then now working with people going through emotional turmoil, there is kind of not a desirable effect if you come into the conversation with this mindset. Not just using the phrase of, hey, your problems are temporary, suicide's permanent, don't do that. But if you have the mindset of problems temporary, get over it, you're not going to actually have that safe space that the person requires to be able to move beyond it. It's not that you want to buy into their story or make it more significant. That actually sticks them with it. But there is a beautiful space of acknowledgement that you could give them. I get it. You're in the muck of it right now. This thing that you're dealing with is huge to you. It seems insurmountable. And it seems so big and impossible to overcome that you're actually contemplating ending your own life. Acknowledging where they are and then giving them an actual space to be able to vent, to be able to speak to it, and to actually just feel like, okay, cool, someone sees me. They see where I am right now. May open up the door for you to be able to get into their world deeper to create more change and help them. Another thing to really start looking at too is all the judgments that come up in this conversation. I know something that went on with my family when they found my suicide letter. My parents went into massive amounts of judgments about themselves. Oh, I'm failing my child. I didn't see the warning signs. It's gotten this bad. There was so much self-judgment that they had of themselves. And then also people in my life who had gotten angry at me or judged me for, just playing with that idea or making steps in the direction to end my life. Being over dramatic or, God, what's wrong with you that you can't see the gift that you are to me? All the time that there is judgment involved in the conversation, there is a stopping point of possibilities. Judgment creates a barrier. If the person going through this is met with that in this conversation, a wall goes up, and really it doesn't create an opening to be able to change anything. So it's just something, as I've been seeing this phrase being thrown about the media and, obviously said to myself when I was younger, I wanted to put this in your awareness. If you are dealing with this, it is a huge thing. Allow yourself to have the space, if you're going through it with someone else, of knowing if I'm coming at it from judgment, if I'm trying to be flippant or overcoat the problem, if I'm trying to kind of push them into possibilities before they're ready to go there, I'm not going to be effective at creating change for this person. It is in the acknowledgement of where they are right now It's in the safe space that you create for them without going into judgment, without trying to fix their problem or trying to push them or solve them quickly, that change will start to grow and develop. If you are having these conversations, they can be quite tough, but if you could just actually give the person the gift of your listening skills, your presence, your non-judgment, and then once that safe space is created, then start to talk about possibilities, different tools that you may have, different ways that the person may be able to relieve their mental anguish. That's the space to go into. But until you have that beginning step, that's actually not really a readily available possibility.